worst place.
In a stunning revelation that lies a childhood marked by shadows and struggle, the Ingraham household of her youth stood in stark contrast to the traditional American values she now champions on her primetime Fox show. Within those walls, a troubling atmosphere pervaded, shaped by the dominating presence of their father, whose influence left an indelible mark on both siblings' lives. The combination of his Nazi sympathies and alcoholic tendencies created a volatile mixture that Curtis describes as the familial soil from which his sister's current persona eventually emerged. This upbringing left its mark on both siblings, though in different ways. For Curtis, it fostered a determination to break free from the cycle of intolerance and speak truth to power. For Laura, her brother suggests, it cultivated a hardened worldview and an anger that would later find expression in her confrontational media presence. The painful irony of their situation wasn't lost on Curtis, who noticed that their own grandparents were Polish immigrants, a fact that stood in sharp contrast to their father's extremist views and Laura's later stance on immigration. This complex family history created a web of contradiction that eventually surfaced in their adult lives, particularly as Laura rose to prominence as a conservative media figure. The scars of those early years ran deep, creating fissures that eventually split the siblings apart. While they once found solace in their shared experience of growing up in such a challenging environment, their divergent responses to that shared trauma would ultimately lead them down dramatically different paths. The anger that permeated their childhood home didn't dissipate with time. Time has a way of transforming relationships, but few transformations have been as dramatic as the journey from intimacy to enmity between Laura and Curtis Ingraham. Their early adult years were marked by a closeness that seemed to transcend their difficult childhood. They shared vacations, confidences, and the kind of sibling bond that suggested they had emerged from their troubled home as unified survivors. The first glimpse of their potential for reconciliation and understanding emerged in 1997 when Laura penned a poignant essay for the Washington Post. In it, she appeared to undergo a profound transformation in her views on homosexuality, inspired by witnessing her brother Curtis's relationship with his partner Richard Smith. The piece seemed to herald a new chapter in their relationship, one where personal experience had triumphed over prejudice. As Curtis and Richard faced the devastating reality of Richard's AIDS diagnosis, Laura appeared to stand with them. Yet this moment of apparent breakthrough would prove fleeting. As Laura's religious convictions deepened in the years that followed, her stance on LGBTQ+ issues began to shift. What had seemed like a genuine evolution in her thinking gradually revealed itself, in Curtis's view, as a temporary accommodation rather than a true change of heart. The sister who had once appeared to embrace understanding began to retreat behind the phrase "agree to disagree" when discussing same-sex marriage with her brother. This reversal cut deeply into their relationship. For Curtis, it wasn't merely a political disagreement, but a personal betrayal. The sister who had once witnessed his love story and defended it publicly now seemed to be using their family narrative for political convenience while simultaneously undermining the very rights and dignity she had once appeared to support. The final fractures in their relationship emerged during the Trump era as Laura's voice grew more prominent in conservative media. What had once been private disagreements spilled out into the public sphere, with Curtis compelled to speak out against what he saw as his sister's hypocrisy. The intimate knowledge that once bound them together, their shared history, their family secrets, their private struggles, became ammunition in a public battle that neither could have anticipated in their closer days, college years and beyond. The seeds of Laura Ingraham's future media persona first took root during her years at Dartmouth College in the early 80s. As editor-in-chief of the Dartmouth Review, she carved out a reputation that would foreshadow her later career, marked by provocative tactics and controversial stances that often pushed the boundaries of journalistic ethics. The prestigious ivy-covered walls of Dartmouth became the testing ground for methods that would later define her approach to media engagement. One incident in particular stood out. Under her leadership, the Dartmouth Review orchestrated a covert operation targeting the campus's Gay Students Association. The decision to secretly record a confidential support group meeting represented more than just an editorial choice. It was a calculated move that would have lasting consequences. Despite knowing the meeting's private nature and the vulnerability of its participants, the paper proceeded to publish the names of those present, shattering the trust and safety these students had sought in their gathering. The fallout from the incident reverberated through the campus community. Faculty advisor Jeffrey Hart's observations of her stance during this period revealed an unwavering commitment to her positions, even in the face of significant backlash. Rather than showing remorse or reconsidering her approach, Ingraham appeared to become more entrenched in her views. The controversy didn't end with graduation, it set a precedent for future confrontations. The tactics employed during these formative years, the strategic use of exposé journalism, the willingness to breach private spaces for public impact, and the steadfast defense of controversial positions became recurring themes throughout her career. The modern monster. The transformation of Laura Ingraham from a sister Curtis once knew into what he sees as a media monster stands as one of the most painful narratives in contemporary political media. Through Curtis's lens, the evolution wasn't such. Shadows of their father's influence, his Nazi sympathies, and alcoholic abuse seemed to Curtis to have found new expression in Laura's public persona. The ability to sow division, to promote intolerance, and to amplify fear has been transformed from a personal family trauma into a national phenomenon. Laura Ingraham's personal life and romantic relationships. Laura Ingraham's personal life has often piqued the interest of both her critics and supporters. While she's had a number of notable romantic relationships, none have led to marriage. In the early 2000s, she was romantically linked to political commentator Dinesh D'Souza and later businessman James V. Reyes. Her engagement to Reyes was highly publicized in 2005, but the two parted ways shortly after, reportedly due to Ingraham's battle with breast cancer, which she openly discussed. Despite the serious nature of some of these relationships, Ingraham chose not to pursue marriage, instead focusing on her career and eventually her role as a mother. She has spoken candidly about her approach to marriage, noting in interviews that while she values traditional family structures, she found fulfillment outside the confines of a typical marriage. Quote, "I've always believed in the importance of family, but family can come in many different forms," she once said in an interview. Her public persona, often rooted in strong conservative values, does not always align with societal expectations of marriage. Yet Ingraham's independence and commitment to motherhood have shaped her narrative, one in which marriage has taken a backseat to other priorities. Throughout her romantic relationships, she's remained clear on her personal priorities. The decision to adopt children speaks to her belief that motherhood can exist outside traditional structures. The decision to adopt. Laura Ingraham's journey to motherhood began with a deep desire to become a parent, a role she knew she was meant to embrace despite not being married. In 2008, she adopted her first child, Maria, from Guatemala. The process, which Ingraham has described as both challenging and rewarding, marked the beginning of a transformative chapter in her life. Quote, "Becoming a mother is the most rewarding thing I've ever done," she shared in an interview, highlighting the profound impact of motherhood on her life. After the adoption of Maria, Laura expanded her family by adopting two sons, both from Russia. Michael, her second child, was adopted in 2009, and Nikolai, the youngest, joined the family in 2011. Each adoption brought its own set of challenges, particularly the complexities of international adoption, which Laura has openly acknowledged. She has expressed frustration over the bureaucratic hurdles in the process. Quote, "Adoption first and foremost needs to be about the children," Ingraham said. "What's best for them? Children should never be used as bargaining chips by one nation against another. They're not commodities. This should never be about politics. Preventing the adoption of a child of any age into a loving, safe home is selfish and cruel. With streamlining background checks, home visits mean cutting corners that would put them in jeopardy. No one wants to see that happen. One horror story of adoptive parents abusing kids is all it takes for a country to shut down all their international adoptions, leaving tens, even hundreds of thousands of kids without a forever home." Her advocacy for apolitical adoption underscores her deep commitment to giving children loving homes, regardless of the red tape involved. She's made it clear her children have been the focal point of her life since becoming a mother, often balancing her demanding career with the responsibilities of raising them. She has credited her faith and values for guiding her through the adoption process, stating that motherhood is a calling, one that she felt strongly even without the presence of a husband. Laura Ingraham's approach to parenting. Laura's approach to parenting reflects her conservative values, with a strong focus on discipline, responsibility, and fostering independence. As a single mother, she's always been vocal about the importance of raising her children with a sense of structure and traditional morals. Quote, "I want my kids to understand the value of hard work, faith, and integrity," she once stated. Her parenting style is centered around ensuring her children grow up with a clear sense of right and wrong, and she often speaks about the importance of instilling strong values from an early age. She's been open about the challenges of balancing her high-profile career with the demands of motherhood. As host of the Ingraham Angle on Fox News, her days are often filled with long hours and intense public scrutiny. Yet she makes it clear her children are her top priority. Quote, "I may be tough on TV, but at home I'm just mom," she once remarked. Her commitment to being present in her children's lives, despite her busy schedule, is a recurring theme in her interviews. Faith plays a crucial role in Ingraham's approach to raising her children. A devout Catholic, she often speaks about how her religious beliefs guide her decisions as a parent. She ensures that her children are exposed to the same faith and values that shaped her upbringing. Ingraham has also spoken about her desire to raise her children to be independent thinkers, stating, quote, "I want them to grow up questioning the world around them, but always with a moral compass." Ingraham's views on the adoption process.
Okay, I was a little weepy all day today, and this is a personal note. Lots of cake and celebration at the Ingraham household tonight as my daughter Maria celebrated her 18th birthday. She's not 18 there. All right, I remember her first birthday in the United States, which was her third. She came when she was about 3. It was also my first Mother's Day. It was special.
Laura has long been an advocate for adoption, particularly international adoption, and she's used her platform to highlight the challenges and complexities involved in the process. Throughout her experience adopting 3 children, she became outspoken about her belief that adoption should remain a compassionate, apolitical act. Quote, "Adoption is about giving children a home, not about politics," she said on many occasions, voicing her frustration with the bureaucratic obstacles that often complicate the process. She has repeatedly called for reforms to streamline the process, ensuring that children can find loving families without unnecessary delays. One of the key points she's emphasized is the need to view children as individuals in need of care and love, not as commodities in a transactional system. Her personal experiences with the adoption process, particularly from Russia, have further shaped her public stance. Following Russia's ban on American adoptions in 2013, she was vocal in her criticism of the decision, pointing out the children who were caught in the middle of a geopolitical conflict. Quote, "These are kids who just want to be loved," she said at the time, expressing frustration and deep sadness over the situation. Her life and career. Laura's career has spanned several decades, with her becoming one of the most influential voices in conservative media. Her path began in the legal field, working as a speechwriter for the Reagan administration, and later clerking for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. But it was her transition to media that cemented her role as a leading conservative commentator. Ingraham gained national attention with her radio show, The Laura Ingraham Show, where her sharp wit and unapologetically conservative views resonated with a large audience. She then transitioned to television, becoming the host of the Ingraham Angle on Fox News, a position that only solidified her status as a media powerhouse. Her career has often been defined by her fearless approach to discussing polarizing topics. Whether tackling immigration, national security, or cultural issues, she's never shied away from controversy. Quote, "I say what I believe and I won't apologize for it," she once said in an interview, a mantra that has driven much of her public commentary. Her ability to provoke strong reactions from both supporters and critics alike has made her a fixture in conservative media. She has also invited controversy in many forms over the years.
Taunting a survivor of Marjory Stoneman Douglas school shooting under pressure from a mounting boycott by advertisers. Uproar arose when Ingraham mocked 17-year-old student activist David Hogg's recent college rejection and his 4.1 GPA on Twitter Wednesday.
Despite her demanding career, she's made it clear her children are always her top priority. Quote, "Being a mother gives you a different lens through which to see the world," she remarked. This dual role of media personality and devoted mother has allowed Laura to connect with her audience on a deeper, more personal level. Laura Ingram's formidable career. Laura has had a significant and diverse career spanning various fields, including law, writing, and media. Born June 19, 1963, she first stepped into the limelight as a speechwriter in the Reagan administration during the late 80s. She followed this with a successful career in law, having earned her JD from University of Virginia in 1991. She served as a clerk to Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas and worked at the prestigious law firm Skadden Arps. Transitioning into the media industry in the mid-90s, Ingraham became a notable figure in the conservative media landscape. She initiated her media journey hosting her radio show, The Laura Ingraham Show, and later took on the role of editor-in-chief at LifeSet, a conservative website she co-founded. Her media presence expanded as she became the host of The Ingraham Angle on Fox News Channel in October 2017. She's been known for her steadfast support of Donald Trump, even serving as an informal advisor during his presidency. Her education background laid a solid foundation for her prolific career. She graduated with a Bachelor of Arts from Dartmouth College in 1985, where she studied English literature and Russian. Throughout her career, she's also been an author, penning several books that have made it to the New York Times bestseller list. A mosaic of relationships. Laura Ingram's love life has been a source of public interest over the years, marked by connections with several prominent figures. Her romantic journey began during her time at Dartmouth, where she forged a significant relationship with fellow student Dinesh D'Souza. Originally an exchange student from India, D'Souza and Ingram's friendship blossomed amidst the chaotic college life. Their bond was so strong they eventually became engaged, though ultimately marriage was not in the cards for them. Despite this, their friendship endured, grounded on mutual respect and intellectual rapport. D'Souza played a critical role in shaping Ingram's approach to journalism and politics, encouraging her to remain steadfast in her principles. As her career soared in the 90s, her love life began to garner more public attention. A significant chapter during this period was her relationship with Keith Olbermann, a political pundit known for holding views polar opposite to hers. Interestingly, their political differences were not the cause of their breakup. Olbermann noted there were personal impediments that prevented the relationship from progressing further. This relationship later seemed to turn sour, with public disagreements between the two being aired in the media. Towards the turn of the millennium, Ingraham was linked with several other notable figures, such as Democratic Senator Robert Torricelli in 1999 and allegedly with economist Lawrence H. Summers in the early 2000s. Triumph over adversity. 2005 was a pivotal year in Laura's life for various reasons. Not only was it a time marked by romantic engagements, but also when she faced one of her toughest personal challenges, a diagnosis of an aggressive form of breast cancer. This diagnosis came just as she was preparing to embark on a new chapter with entrepreneur James V. Reyes, to whom she was engaged. The sudden diagnosis was a jarring pause in her life narrative, bringing an end to her engagement with Reyes. Despite the gravity of her health crisis, Ingraham exhibited extraordinary resilience. She was determined to face the illness with grit and perseverance. Undergoing surgery and chemotherapy, she embarked on a battle that tested her strength. Throughout this period, she maintained a positive outlook, treating her treatment journey akin to training for a marathon or crafting a meticulous legal document. In a 2013 interview, she recounted this period as a time of personal triumph, demonstrating that her will and spirit remained unbroken. Her story serves as an inspiring narrative of hope and resilience, showcasing the indomitable human spirit. A blossoming family. While her professional journey and personal relationships have been at the forefront, another vital aspect of Laura Ingraham's life is her role as a mother. Embodying her advocacy for adoption, Ingraham took the significant step of adopting her first daughter, Maria, from Guatemala 12 years ago. This event marked the blossoming of Ingraham's family, a testament to her commitment to providing love and nurturing to children in need. Her family continued to grow with the addition of 2 more children, Dmitry and Nikolai, whom she adopted from Russia. Together, they have formed a loving and cohesive family unit, residing happily in Washington, D.C. This chapter of her life highlights her dedication to nurturing a family grounded in love and unity, showcasing a softer, maternal facet of the usually assertive public figure. A life unbound. Throughout her life, Ingraham has chosen not to marry, a decision that has sparked public curiosity. While the reasons remain private, it appears this choice has allowed her to focus wholly on her blossoming career and her role as a mother. Ingraham's decision can be seen as a reflection of modern societal shifts where marriage is not seen as a compulsory life path. Choosing to remain unmarried has possibly given her the freedom to carve out a life that resonates with her individual beliefs and values. Her unwavering focus on her career and commitment to her children showcase a woman who has built a fulfilling life on her terms, breaking away from traditional societal expectations to create a path defined by personal fulfillment and success. Throughout her life's journey, Laura has displayed a blend of strength and commitment, both in her professional pursuits and in her personal life. Her experiences, spanning from navigating complex romantic relationships to embracing motherhood wholeheartedly, paint a picture of a woman of strength and determination, unafraid to forge her path in a world often defined by conventional norms. Ingraham's hot takes. Let's take a moment to look back at some of the controversies and scandals she's found herself caught up in. During her time at Dartmouth, Ingraham spearheaded some contentious initiatives that attracted significant backlash. In the 80s, she made headlines for revealing the names of students attending a Gay Students Association meeting, a move she defended as a freedom of the press issue. But years later, she publicly changed her stance on homosexuality, partially influenced by the experiences of her gay brother Curtis. Despite this, she maintains that a marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Moving to her stance on immigration and race, she's been a persistent critic of immigration, often voicing strong opposition to reforms and policies aimed at easing immigration laws. She also has controversial opinions on racial issues, sometimes attracting accusations of fostering white nationalist rhetoric. This includes her criticism of demographic changes in the U.S., which has been perceived as a nod to white nationalist talking points. And she's faced backlash for different responses to black and white athletes speaking out on political issues, and her defense of the Trump administration's divisive zero-tolerance family separation policy. Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the fact that Laura Ingraham has never been married? Let us know in the comments section below.